Druid went from one of the worst classes for leveling to one of the best ones. We initially did an 8-hour run with a Wind Shear plus Pulverize / Overpower build. It's a hybrid. Let's talk about the strategy to level. When and what content do you run, when you change your gear, when you imprint your gear. It's actually a very simple strategy from 1 to 100 with the same build. Moi, chef kiss. Let's get into it. Let's not waste time. I hate to do that. From level 1 to 35, you just run Hell Tides. But you can get your aspect of the Calm Breeze at level 1 in a dungeon called Grinning Labyrinth in Dry Steppes. So usually that's the first thing I do for my character. Then I just run Hell Tides till level 35. I do my class quest. I do the Capstone dungeon at level 35 with a potion. And before doing that, I try to have as many aspects as possible for my build on. So check the aspect for the build and imprint the aspect that you have. And then you should be able to do the dungeon level 35, no problem. From level 36, you're gonna be 36 after the capstone, to level 50. I just do Hell Tides again, without upgrading my gear or anything. When I'm level 50, at that point is when you prepare to do the capstone for War Tier 4. So at level 50, I go back to town and upgrade my gear. How do I do that? Well, at that point, I will have all my aspect from Hell Tides. I try to do 1 tempering or 2 tempering on my items. So I don't try to enchant too much. I enchanted once on gloves. I enchanted, I believe, once on my rings. And other than that, I did not enchant. I just did my temperings. I failed my temperings for the totem. I had gotten a double GA totem. And I also did a +4. Don't masterwork though. This was dumb. So you don't want to masterwork. You just want to temper. Slime your temper once or twice. Don't double temper your utility items. So your gloves. I didn't even temper my chest and my pants nor my helm. It really doesn't matter because you're not going to masterwork them. So only double temper your weapons and that's it. And your amulet, sorry, because amulet has movement and damage on it. So that's what I did. Now that we talked about the strategy, up to level 50, you've upgraded your gear in this way. You've tempered what you can temper. You're gonna do the capstone, you're gonna be in War Tier 4. At that point, you just run Nightmare Dungeon till level 70. When you start to struggle, level 70. You go in and you change your gear and you again temper and re-enchant the aspect on all of your gear. And at that point it should be something like this, pretty much. I do suggest that you do your war bosses and also all of the Legion event that actually gives you an insane amount of materials. Yes, it's gonna slow down your leveling, but the material, there's nothing like farming that for materials and enchants, because you're gonna save yourself hours of gameplay later on. So just do them right now. You level up a little bit slower, but you saved a lot of hours for later on. You have your materials. And they're also very useful for enchanting and upgrading, of course. Let's talk about the build. So like I said, the build is an overpower build. It works based off the blood boiling aspect. Is very powerful. It does a flat amount of damage, which is very strong when you level and you do not have really any multipliers because we don't have good gear, etc., right? So these types of flat damage like blood boiling and wind shear are absolutely bonkers while leveling. We have a bunch of ways to obtain overpower in this build. We're gonna show them. We have, of course, blood boil every 20 seconds. We have the obsidian slam. And we also have pulverize, which gives you another power every 12 seconds. And technically, I have provocation in my build planner. I was testing without it. I don't know what I like more. Like this is like the change I'm doing currently. Like I'm doing this, but I'm not too sure about this part. But follow my planner. I will have it tested by then. My planner mobility is always updated. So that's how you get overpowers, and that's how you get your blood boils to proc. This is mainly for your AoE damage because Wind Shear is amazing single target, but AoE a little bit of a struggle. On your helm, try to get something with life or willpower, and don't care about the third stat. And then you do Undying. My chest, same thing. I have Might Aspect, Blood Boiling on my gloves. On the pants, I have Juggernaut. It gives you Armor Cap. That's like the first defensive aspect. Only care about move speed on my boots. And I have this Slaughter aspect on my boots, which is decent, honestly. So 20% move speed. I actually copied this from Budijo. In fact, I also copied from Budijo the Blood Boil thing. This build is a bit of a variation of the one I was running for endgame, and I think he probably took a little bit of inspiration for that, but I'm happy to copy his build in return, which is it's very good for leveling. I made a couple of variation because some of the stuff he runs for speedrunning is an hardcore, not the best for casual play and not the best for people that can die. So we want to get more damage. Who cares if we die once or twice? We have the Moonrise aspect on the weapon. We have Shockwave, and we have Ursine Horror. This is because Pulverize with overpowers a pretty good amount of damage early game. Later on, actually, you can remove the Shockwave and go with a two-hand with Moonrise. Later on, Pulverize will do less and less damage as you level. At around level 70, honestly, I think just running a staff with Moonrise on a two-hand is better than running Shockwave. But I will still run Adaptability, and I will still run Ursine Horror to get more of those overpowers Blood Boil. And then, of course, Calm Breeze on the Amulet. On this one, even a rare Amulet, honestly, is better than a legendary one. I was just looking for one with attack speed and move speed on mine. That's really what I was using for it. And then I tempered it twice. So that's for my items. For the boons, we actually now have move speed, which for leveling is amazing. So we're taking that. We're also taking attack speed and max life, which have been buffed. We're taking Energize for the Pulverize. And we're taking Obsidian Slam. If you want, you can also take a defensive bolster instead of Energize if you feel like you do not have resource issues. Abilities. This is the planner. We have, of course, Fierce Wind Shear, 1 rank. Multiple ranks do not increase your damage. Full ranks on Pulverize with Raging Pulverize that's been buffed, super damage now. Iron 4 has been buffed. We have Digigrate been buffed. Vigilance has been buffed. Earthen Bulwark has been super buffed. Cyclone Armor, we take Preserving Cyclone Armor, which also honestly could be removed if you want to get more Fortify. Not a big deal, that's a change you can make. I personally do like it though for not dying. I take 1 point in Wolves. Additionally, one of the things you can do if you don't like Wolves, which I like, they're a good tank and they're brain dead, but if you want to play more, you know, turn on Shred for movement, it's something you can take instead of Wolves. But then you have to pay attention to the game, which I don't like to do. Nature's Reach, been buffed, super P. We take Provocation or not. Follow the planner on Mobiletics if you don't want to think too much. There is a couple of options like not running Provocation and running Shred, but just follow the planner. I made it easy there. Resonance, Natural Disaster, Defiance. We run Defensive Posture, has been buffed. I have Quick Shift, Nature's Fortitude, and Heightened Sense, of course. And you run Bastard Rampage, which activates with your Pulverize. If you want to be brain dead, you can run Ursine Strength. In this case, you get more overpower damage, more damage while healthy, a bit of HP, but it is overall less damage than if you're actually paying attention. Probably, I will run with this one, but, you know, this is how Vudijo plays, but I will probably just turn my brain off and just play with Ursine Strength, if I have to be honest. You always get the damage, you always get damage from overpowers, and it's honestly less stressful than looking at your buff all the time. While leveling, I really don't want to be bothered. For the Paragon board, I made a couple of changes that are smart when leveling. Some of the glyphs, you're not gonna have level 15, right? So this takes in consideration that. We have on the first one, we take Bane, which is very important as it is to get Keeper and Tracker. Those 3 glyphs are the most important, so Thunderstruck and then United Malice getting a Tracker. And that's pretty much the 3 important glyphs. Then Earth and Sky is not very important. And Dominate you can leave at level 1. In, of course, the Mobalytics builder, I have it correctly for a level 15 glyph. But if you have a level 1 glyph, you can run this version and take 1 more point for core damage, which you don't care about. But you can use a level 1 Dominate and you can skip leveling it. It gives you 15% damage, which is very strong now. So this is a very powerful glyph now in Season 5. Of course, we take Ancestral Guidance. At this point, honestly, it doesn't really matter too much. Yes, you take Human, and technically, you can get up to Heightened Malice. And that's the thing, though. When you get here, you're finished. You're level 100, you change build, you play an endgame build. What I suggest, that when you're getting up here, you can take away things like HP here, and you can take away HP here, and just do the last couple of levels with Heightened Malice, and just go there and get it. But, you know, I'm not gonna make you take away those points, which are very powerful early game, especially because you're gonna be running Nightmare Dungeons, you know, to level up, and you're gonna be under level for a lot of the game. When you complete about level 45 Nightmare Dungeons easily, at that point you just run pits up to level 100, and then you can do the seasonal quest if you want, and do the seasonal content if you want, and pretty much start farming the end game till you get to level 100. Or you can keep blasting pits. Pits I think are the best for leveling. I've not tested for leveling the new content, but you know, you have to, it's a mix of pits to get the materials and a mix of the new content if you want to do that. And I think that's probably the most efficient thing you can do, because even though you're gonna level a little bit slower, you just alternate when your glyph are leveled, of course. You alternate between pits and the new content, and level to 100 that way, while doing the Legion event and the world bosses. And that's the most efficient way to get to 100, maybe in 15 hours. I say you're half as fast as Voodisia, right? But also you have gotten more Legion event and more boss, more materials, which is really good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video that covers the build. And yeah, thanks for Voodisia as well for, you know, pushing things for speedrunning.